I now request Amish Thakkar sir to please take over the charge of the session.
Good evening. I see few of you are here, but at least the enthusiasm should be flowing. So, distinguished leaders, respected colleagues, and fellow chartered accountants. Actually, we live in a world where a 22-year-old chartered accountant with a laptop and the right AI prompt can draft a board-ready MD&A, which is Management Discussion and Analysis document, can model an acquisition, can scan a compliance calendar, and prepare a earning call script before even your morning chai gets cold. Which means the tasks which typically takes 2 to 3 working days can be done with the right set of prompts till your chai get cold. That's the speed, that's the agility AI is going to offer you. The question tonight is not whether AI is coming for your industry. It already has. The question, and the only question that matters, is whether you are going to be the CFO, the COO, the CEO who leads with it, or who just explains the board why cannot AI be part of your organization. Tonight, I'm not going to talk about AI in abstract. In fact, I'm going to show you live on this screen right now what happens when the most powerful professional minds who's present in this forum, the leading brains who leads the organization, meets with one of the most powerful business models in the form of AI, what wonders that they can deliver. What I am going to share with you today is a preliminary due diligence report, which typically takes about 50 lakh rupees for an organization to prepare, hiring a consultant, getting developed in 90 seconds in front of you. What I am going to show you is earning call script, an AGM address, and a press release drafted in front of you before you finish even your afternoon coffee. Something which is a must for a CEO, and it takes a lot of time and effort and energy to develop. You can just sip your coffee and it's been done by AI. You will see your compliance calendar consolidated across the regulators in under a minute. And everything what I've just said is what I'm going to demonstrate. And through every single demonstration, one truth will remain constant. AI can draft, but only you can decide. Many, while I speak in different forums during the gatherings over tea, lunch, dinner, they have reservations whether AI can enable or can replace us. What do you think? Can AI enable us or they can replace us? Definitely they'll enable us, isn't it? And this is what the theme of my today's session is going to be. And you will observe yourself that how much AI can free you to do what is it that you are supposed to be doing. AI can flag the risks, but you only can sign the resolution. That is the CA advantage. That is why you are here in this room tonight, sitting with so much of energy, and that's exactly what we are going to prove. And with this, I would like to start my session. And what an opportune moment. I was attending this previous 2 sessions and the session after that. My session is in between, and what I could see is whatever the erstwhile speakers have discussed, I have literally covered that in my demonstration. So exactly what you learned is what you're going to demonstrate. Now it's a coincidence or it's the way it has to happen, you will see it. So the way I've designed my session, I'll just demonstrate what is it that you're going to expect in next half an hour or so, whatever time has been allotted to me, is exactly what you just discussed. The role today given to me is to explain the use of AI for key managerial persons, the CXOs sitting in this room, right? This is the question that you should be, wondering. AI will not replace those KMPs, but you will be competing with those KMPs who already are AI enabled. So your competition is within your own professional fraternity with those who are AI empowered, right? Are we leading the AI or being led by it is the question you should be asking yourself till the time you integrate AI into yourself and into your organization. That is a need of an hour, right? We are getting plenty of requests from corporates, from various educational institutions, not only for educating them, but for integrating AI into their ecosystem. We have been doing audits of AI models. A lot of banking financial services are approaching us for conducting an audit of their models before they are fully implemented, right? So, the question you all need to ponder amongst yourself, and that should be bothering you every day, is are you leading AI or you are still behind it and you have been driven by it? If you are on the first pair of the question, you are on the safer side. This is just a glimpse what has changed since 2020 to 2026. I'm not going to go back to the past, because past is past. Look at 2026. Considering the time at hand, I would just like to focus on what's important. I'm going to share this material with the organizers. You will get all of what I'm demonstrating along with the prompts, along with the outcomes, and this presentation for your future reference. So today, the KMPs who doesn't use AI is already behind the ones who are, right? What the CFOs, CEOs, and COOs are doing. This is self-explanatory. I'm just taking a pause, have a look at it, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate in a few minutes. If you recall the discussion we just had, where agility, speed, are the concerns which organizations and the leaders of the organizations are facing. That is where AI is going to plug you in. That is where they are going to give you an edge, which others are still struggling, who have not adopted. So, basically, what AI does is basically it assists. It drafts, it analyzes, it flags, and it forecasts, which typically is a time-consuming job. What we do as KMPs is we validate and we question. In fact, the keynote speaker, Mr. Bandari, also said, our job is to ask how and why, right? We should be spending our time on that. In fact, are you aware how many chartered accountants are there in India? About 600,000 approximately, right? And if you divide this number by India's population, which is approximately 1.43 billion, if you do a calculation, we are that minority which doesn't even come in the calculator. Do you all agree? Can we have a round of applause for our uniqueness? Have you ever realized this fact? That we are so unique. Our brain is very, very unique. We have cracked the toughest exam of this country. And after doing this, if we are spending time on those tasks which doesn't need our expertise, are we underutilizing ourselves, isn't it? Trust me, you all will empathize with what I'm going to say. As a CFO, how many of you are spending endless hours in terms of consolidating the financials, in terms of preparing the cash flows, in terms of forecasting the treasuries? Ask yourself, is this for what you have become CA? The answer is no, right? This is just a number crunching. What happens next is where our forte comes as a key managerial personnel. That is where you need to lead your organization. You need data, you need numbers readily available for you to infer, to make business decisions. And these numbers have value if they are shared within time, within a particular period of time. If for developing the reports, if for kind of doing number crunching, you are taking so much time, then you have lost the way. Then you have lost the essence of your decisions. And that is where AI will help you. So AI cannot make decisions. It only assists in making better informed decisions, provided you have those numbers with you. And that is what exactly I'm going to demonstrate. So I will cut short my session considering the delay that has happened, but I'll try to show you 4 demonstrations which I have created for today's session. 2 demonstrations for the CFO, the session which already had happened towards the CFO's role, and the session after me is for the CEOs. So I have just considered both of them. The context of the discussion you already had. So I'm going to demonstrate how AI can draft the narratives for your annual report narratives, for press release, for earning calls, how AI can help CFOs for cash flow forecasting, compliance automation, how CEOs can create a communication for investors and the stakeholders, and very importantly, how AI can help in mergers and acquisition due diligence report, which is a very costly affair. Those who have been involved in these deals, they would appreciate the cost, effort, and energy involved. And that is where you can take advantage of the AI. I'll start with my first use case, which is developing annual report narrative and the financial close acceleration. So what we are going to do is we have to understand what is the problem. So the problem is that from the annual statements, financial statements that we have, it takes about 3 to 5 days in terms of writing management discussion and action points, right? Then we are going to discuss that for inter-department consolidation, it takes a lot of time. Those who are CFOs who can empathize with me that inter-department transactions, subsidiary consolidation is another pain areas that you all go through. And on the top of it, statutory auditors are always in demand for asking some clarifications. Any single query coming in from a statutory auditor, you need to dig into the details, you need to go to the transactions, identify the facts, and then the most tiresome job is to explain to the auditors. All of that I'll be able to demonstrate, and that you can do at your organization with the help of AI in less than half an hour. Right? So with this, I'll straight away go to the first demo and show you how this can work. So I'm going to provide AI with a data set. I've taken a hypothetical company called Arjun Industries Limited. It's a listed company on NSE and BSE. So all the listing obligation and disclosure requirement, LODR is what we famously call, is applicable to this organization. And I've given some segment performance summary, key business development for FY 25-26. And now I'm going to give a prompt to this technology that you have to act as a CFO, a BSE and NSE listed company, preparing management discussion and analysis section of the annual report. Based on the financial data provided, draft a professional MDA narrative of approximately 400 words. Your tone should be formal, forward-looking, compliance with SEBI LODR Regulation 34, Schedule 5 of the Companies Act. What you need to cover is revenue growth drivers, EBITDA margin, improvements, PAT performance, debt reduction, return ratios, capex direction, and business outlook. Why I am reading this prompt is everything what I've just said requires few hours or days depending upon the complexity of your data. And trust me, if you give the data with this prompt in less than 2 minutes, because it's your own data, it is not going to hallucinate, right? And obviously it requires a lot of training. I've already trained my model, so the kind of output that I'm going to show you is the effort that I've already put in training my model. Something which you or your organization can also do to get the desired result which I'm showing. So what I did, I simply went, let me connect to the internet so that I can show you. Now see, this is the first use case that I got developed through AI. The same prompt which I just read, I gave to AI. And I gave this financial statement. And it has generated the result. I've already got this generated considering the internet issues sometimes we fetch at the session. So it has given me the output, which I'm just going to show you. This is the output, which is a discussion for management. Now have a look at this. This is what I got from a single prompt, which is a 3 days job. Though it looks simple, but with the set of mind, the talent that you all have, you should now start from here. What CEOs or the CFOs do is they spend 3 days for just getting this, which is not where your forte lies. It is an undermining of your capabilities. Rather, your job starts from here once you have the output done by AI. So what now this says is management discussion and analysis. It has given me a nice HTML format. You can open it on your tablets, on your phone. It is screen agnostic and easy for sharing with others. So if you are sending this to your board, don't you think it's the right format to send? They would be interested in observing the content. It is not simple black and white. It highlights the things like revenue from operations 18% year on year, EBITDA margin 150 basis point growth, PAT grew by 44.2. This is what you all need to take this to the board, isn't it? And there is no hallucination involved because the data, the fact is given by me about my own company. So the time which you are taking to churn is already been done by AI. And trust me, when I did this, it has not taken more than 2 minutes to do. Right? Now, it talks about industry overview and macro environment. It talks about revenue performance and growth drivers. It talks about profitability and margin analysis. All this you go and take to your management for further analysis. Right? And this you do for every quarter, isn't it? Ahead of the board meeting, you're all stressed. You know, you're running, consolidating the data, preparing the abridged financial statements, and then preparing this report. Right? So I'm saying that give this task, and it has got a proper section. See, all your financials are here, right? All your segments are here, right? If you are multidisciplinary, multi-product, multi-country, multi-departmental company, then you can have this for every department or every segment. So the company that I've taken has 3 different segments, then CapEx and outlook, then ESG, then what are the risks involved which you want to take it forward to your board, and drafting notes, right? So if the management has any concerns with regard to SEBI, with regard to disclosures, you have all of this ready, right? And before you publish this, what are the things that you need to comply with? Everything is given by AI. What is our role is to review it, fine-tune it based on the unique ability or the experience that we have. So this is the first hands-on which I've done, right? Similarly, I'll open up another use case. My apologies considering the time at hand, and I have developed so many things, so I'm showing you back to back. I'll keep last 10 minutes for any Q&As that you have. Is that okay? Yeah. Hope you are appreciating the concepts that I am trying to sail you through. Yeah. Similarly, friends, I have designed another use case which is on subsidiary data consolidation. How many of you have faced this challenge every time consolidating subsidiary books? I have the solution readily available for you. And now I am going to aggravate the problem. Consolidation is another challenge, but if the data comes from the subsidiaries in different formats, some will give you in Excel, some will give you in CSV, some will give you in Word. The currencies are different. Some companies are maintaining books in AED, in USD, in Euro. You go mad in just preparing the raw data, which requires consolidation. The solution is this. What I have done is, I have got few of the data that I'm going to show you. Say, for example, I have a company called Arjun Gulf FZE. Now you see, this is the data given to me for consolidation. The data is in AED, right? It's in a different currency, right? And it says intercompany receivables, statutory audit is pending. That is the feedback or the input I've got from one of the entity. Then I've got Arjun Industries, which is a holding company. This is the data I've got in Excel, right? Then I've got Arjun Logistics and Warehouse Limited. The data is given to me like this. Different layouts, inconsistencies, different currencies. Now this data is given to me in Word file, or maybe a simple CSV or some text on WhatsApp, right? Now, what I just did, I gave everything to AI and a very intelligent prompt. As I said, I'm going to share all of this with you so that you can refer later, because that's the objective of this effort that I've put in to develop. So, the prompt I have given is this for consolidation. You are a senior finance professional supporting the group CFO with annual consolidation. Attached are the financial data received from 3 subsidiaries in inconsistent formats, unit and currencies. You are required to convert all figures in INR in crores, US using the conversion rate like this. Consolidate into one single clean table with columns. Identify and flag all intercompany balances requiring eliminations. Specifically flag any missing or unconfirmed data with a clear action item stating what needs to be obtained and from where before consolidation can be finalized. This is the task which is very, very time consuming. Any items subject to audit or pending confirmation. Now see, this is the prompt I gave. And I gave all the consolidations of all the data of different subsidiaries and the same prompt. And then, of course, it doesn't come simply like this. I've trained my AI since many years now. So with one go, it has given me this consolidation statement, which I've already downloaded for all of you. And this is how it looks like. Have a look. Annual consolidation work paper. Consolidated financial summaries, 4 entities, combined revenue, combined PAT, intercompany eliminations, unconfirmed balances, and audit spending. Something which takes 2 to 3 days for you to prepare. It just took me 5 minutes. Again, no hallucination. Anything that I'm showing here will not have the risk of hallucination because, one, I have trained the model, and second, the data is given by us. We are not doing any web search here, right? We are only using the knowledge of the model, which is where the model is trained for consolidation. Now have a look at this. Beautifully it has done. Arjun Industries, parent company, intercompany balances, right? Something similar for entity level it has done. Everything that I gave in an inconsistent format is presented in a very nice interactive format. Right? This is very important. Intercompany elimination schedule. This is the next step which you should be taking as a CFO of the company. After the intercompany consolidation is done, the next step is where AI won't help you. AI can take you here, and from here on, you have to use your experience to see what action. Say, for example, Gulf audit pending, not confirmed on holding side. So there's an intercompany balance, right, of 18.40 crores. It shows in the parent company as receivable, in the subsidiary as payable, but not confirmed by the holding company. So as a CFO, it has given you an action point that this is what next you should be doing, which you yourself are figuring out after having this data with you. Now AI is telling you what needs to be done. Hope you all are appreciating. And those who are actually doing can really understand the pain that they go through. To come to this status and what next to be done requires a lot of time. And today corporates, the only thing which is precious is time, right? We are also engrossed in so many things, multitasking, so many different things are happening, where we don't have a peace of mind to sit, to think through, to have kind of something like this coming out. So let AI handle that. And you spend your valuable time being a very unique minority of professional where your brain needs to be utilized, right? I'll quickly move on to the last tab, which is the red flag, which is what as a CFO you should be interested in. That, okay, after I've done the consolidation, where I should be focusing, what are the lingering concerns where I should be addressing. And see, even AI has given you that. Holding company standalone financial statements not submitted. So it tells CFO that it needs to be submitted. Right? Statutory audit pending. Intercompany debtors unconfirmed on both sides. This is another challenge. So now it is telling you what needs to be done. So this is the power that AI brings to you, right? And see, these are the items that you can create as a task list for your team. That what needs to be done, what is urgent and open, that needs to be addressed first, right? So as an obedient, intelligent colleague of yours or subordinate of yours, this is the task which AI handles gracefully, right? I'll quickly move on because of the time that I have to be mindful of. This is another example and a very, very time consuming. What has happened is your statutory auditor has come up with a query. It says that in connection with our audit of standalone financial statements, the company has recognized goodwill of 142.6 crores arising from acquisition, and as per Ind AS 36 impairment of asset, goodwill is required to be tested, and then the list of queries. I will not read the queries, but then you have this, and as I'm going to share, you can recheck at your own convenience later how well AI understands the Ind AS, the regulatory requirements, the LODR norms, etc., and then gives you a response which is credible, reliable. Okay? Now, this is the to get to the response of the auditor's query, then what is the next step you do as a CFO? You pass on this job to the head of accounts and say, give me the facts from the books, basis which I'm going to create a response to my auditor. So these are the facts which your team would have given you by looking into the books. Now what I did, I got the raw facts, I got the auditor's query, now I went to AI and said, you draft the proper response which goes to the auditor. So now see what auditor's query has been drafted like. This is the query's response drafted. So this was the first point raised by auditor, second point raised by auditor, third point, so on and so forth. And then finally, it has also given me annexure A, Note to standalone financial statements, which was again required by the auditor. Everything in less than 2 minutes. Right? So I can keep on showing you things like this. I'll just show you one more considering the time at hand. Cash flow projections. How many of you suffer from managing the cash flows of your organization? Can I have a raise of hands? How many are having this pain area of managing the cash flow, where some funds are lying idle, some funds are being procured at a high rate of interest, and your treasury and cash flow is always distorted? Now see, with one single prompt, what I did, I gave this cash flow inputs, inflows of the cash flow, outflows of the cash flow, and I said, act as a group treasurer, a listed Indian company, do a cash flow planning for 13 weeks rolling forecast. Yeah, build a 13-week rolling cash flow forecast, present as a week-by-week table, and also identify any week where your cash flow is within the threshold. That's a red flag for you, isn't it? Every CFO, and today the people here are all ROI driven, right? Because the single thing that drives all of us in this room is ROI. We want a positive ROI. In fact, for every use case, I have developed an ROI, right? But I'll not show you for the paucity of time. But my presentation, if you see, at the end, talks about ROI. Every use case, I have designed how much you can save if you integrate AI with credible numbers. So if you want to take this to your board, you can readily take that, okay, if I do all this using AI, how much my organization is going to save. So these are the numbers that I have put in. Coming back to my use case, so I again went back to my AI and I said, this time you build a cash flow for me. So it has given me a cash flow. This is the cash flow, 13 weeks rolling cash flow forecast, right? And as a CFO, I would be interested in knowing which are my critical weeks, where my 13-week position looks like, how much is going to be the inflows and the outflows. And if you see here, it says critical, balance breaches 8 crore covenant, which is a bank-driven challenge or a constraint that you need to maintain this much to pay my loan installment. And you look at the color scheme, anything which is in red draws an attention of the CFO, right? Now comes the visual representation of inflows and outflows, and it has taken only less than 3 minutes to build this. Can we develop something like this in less than 3 minutes manually? No matter how much experience we are in this audience, right? But these models are nicely trained to give you something from where you can start, right? Now, the good thing is, even if you don't have time to go through these numbers, don't go through it. Your focus is required only here. See, it says, week 5, accelerate Reliance Retail, contact by week 3, request 5-day advance, offer 0.25% early discount, still cheaper than 10.25% OD. Now what you need to do is just see whether it is doable. Earlier, you used to take time to arrive at this decision. Now this decision is given to you by AI. You have to just act on it if it is feasible or doable. So this says that you are not managing the cash flow right. You have a loan where you are paying 10.25% OD charge, whereas if you go and contact your debtor who is about to pay you, tell them to pay you in advance by giving some 0.25% or even 0.5% discount. You can manage your cash flow well, right? Then comes this. For week 5, negotiate 9 crore post DMart receipt, requires CFO approval. So this gives you some decision points. You have to just use your powers and the business acumen to work on it, right? So on and so forth. I have so many such use cases that I've developed for all of you, which I'll share, and you all can gain a lot of insights. Yeah. Now, since the time is very short and I have to cut short, any few questions, only 5 minutes, we can take any questions. Or we can take offline. So with that, thank you very much for patiently having a look at these use cases. Thank you very much.